Okay. Good morning, everyone. Let me start by telling you a bit about myself. Along with Loretta Lynn, I am the original coal miner's daughter. I am a native of Pennsylvania, born in Commodore, a small mining town in Indiana County, not too far from Brookville on the map. I finished my education in Clearfield County in a little town called LeCounts Mills. My dad died of black lung when he was age 50. My mother was a farmer's daughter and lived to be 97 years old. I know I get my longevity from her. I was born on December 9th in 1930. If you do the math, that makes me 89 years old. Just a young woman in her prime of life. I expect to live and function until the Lord calls me home. I think it was cold that December I was born, and I never got warm until I moved to Rwanda. The moderate temperature here works well for me. I first came to Africa in 1996, just after the genocide. Those were hard times. In 1999, I wrote a book about my time serving in refugee camps in then what was known as Zaire. Now that is the Republic of Congo. A small pebble in a big pond, that's the name of the book. I look at myself as just a small pebble, and a pebble that drops in and goes to the bottom while the circles go on and on and on. So, but I'm not ready to drop to the bottom yet. As far as I know, that book is still available on Amazon in the used book section. After returning home in 1996, I came back to Rwanda several times. And finally, in 2006, I packed my gear, said so long to friends and family, sold all my worldly goods, and moved to Rwanda. This is now my home, away from home, as I have kept my US citizenship. It was easy for me to transition into Rwanda, as I was raised in rural Pennsylvania at a time when paved roads did not exist. A pot-bellied stove heated most of the homes, and indoor plumbing was still in the future. We had no electricity, and kerosene lamps were our light. Baths were taken in a galvanized tub in front of the kitchen stove. A scrub board was used for laundry, and my mom baked bread for all the family. There was no TV, no radio, and no phone. My first year in Rwanda was very much the same. My reason for moving to Rwanda comes from the time I spent in the refugee camps in Zaire. Children were my focus then and are yet today. Establishing Urukundo Home for Children was a hope made real for me. The ministry is based on love. Urukundo is translated love. Love of God, love of neighbor, love of children, and love of self. The last, love of self, has been the hardest for me to follow. I have a loving God and a forgiving God who has taught me to live by faith, love his children, and to, above all else, have a sense of humor. I believe God has a sense of humor because I am sure the Lord has laughed as I have told him what I'm going to do. In my mind, I can hear God say, wait until you see what I have planned for you. At a time in my life, age 65, retired from the workforce, ready to sit back and do nothing, my life changed. A new journey began. Life in Rwanda was not in my retirement plan, but after spending 3 months in mission in Zaire, my heart was touched with the plight of the children returning after the genocide to a ravaged Rwanda. I needed to do something. What? I was not sure. Hundreds of thousands of children who managed to live through that 1994 genocide and its aftermath in Rwanda were struggling for survival. In 2006, those children had children of their own, and many had died from deadly diseases and poverty. Now there was a new generation who would be living the life of the vulnerable. How could one person help? I am one person, and I know I cannot cure the problems of the world, but I can make a difference in my little part with the help of others. Urukundo Home for Children and Urukundo Learning Center is the answer to that important question. One person cannot do it alone, but one person can be God's instrument to get the ball rolling. Our donors are so important as they have made this ministry possible, and in time it will be self-sustaining. You, the Presbyterian family of faith, are part of that donor base, and I thank you for caring and sharing with me. Education is the promise of a brighter future for all children, and especially for the children in Rwanda. Education is now the focus of my ministry. Urukundo Foundation / Hope Made Real started in 2006 with one child, one mama, one guard, and one woman with a mission, me. We have grown to include a home for girls, a home for boys, a primary school for children. Our school starts with a baby class, age 3, and continues on to grade 6. The foundation consists of a sewing center, a school for adults, daycare center, dental clinic, and a farm, and a very special program dear to my heart for newborn babies and their moms and siblings. I think the farm is one of the things that excite me the most because you know what? I'm not an animal lover, but I have many, many animals here. And so I have learned how to be an animal lover. Early in this ministry, we built Hope House, a center for worship. During this pandemic, most of our sources for revenue are shut down, as is our house of worship. This is countrywide. Kay Day shared this with you in her talk earlier. All of Urukundo's services cater to low and no income families in our community. A donation to the education funds allows us to keep our tuition low, and for some very poor, no tuition paid at all. In the beginning, my focus was only on little girls, 7 years and older. I was in my late 60s, had been through diapers and formula and teething and walking the floor at night and potty training and etc. And I did not think I should do it again. 7-year-old girls would be finished with all that and would be in school during the day. Sounds ideal to me. Things changed quickly. Within 1 year, abandoned street boys were included. And in the next year, we moved from renting to owning our own property. Soon babies were dropped on our doorstep, so much for the older children only. A firm foundation of love has been laid. Each time we completed a project, I would think, okay, this is enough. And the next need would present itself and is even more important than the last one. Our first question is always, how will this affect the community? We are part of the community. We are not separate. We definitely are part of the community. It took about 4 years for me to realize that after love, education was the most needed in this rural area of Rwanda. That awakening came through our first baby. His name was David. David came to Urukundo as a week-old baby, and David grew. At 3 years, he was rambunctious, spoiled, and needed some discipline. So we looked for a preschool that might already be set up where David could go to school. We enrolled him in a school across the road from where we were nearby, and thinking it would be good for David to be with other children because he was our baby. That did not work well. David came home the second day from that school, and he announced very firmly, "Mama, I am not going there. It is just a place for crybabies, and I don't learn nothing." Okay, if this is a faith ministry, show your faith, Arlene, and get started. Our school started in 2010 with one building and a few kids. Next month, if the pandemic allows, September 2020, there will be over 1,000 students in our school. We have 36 teachers and 23 classrooms. Thanks to the frustration of a 3-year-old boy named David, the school now has preschool through grade 6. Urukundo Learning Center has built a reputation as the best school in the district, and if you ask me, I think it is the best school in all of Rwanda. There are many stories at Urukundo, and I would like to share the story of Claudine with you. If we have a miracle at Urukundo, Claudine is it. A doctor friend, an ophthalmologist from the local hospital, phoned and asked me if Urukundo would be willing to take a 3-year-old girl in need of eye surgery. The child was blind. She had been born blind. He stated he could restore her vision, but she was in such poor health she would not live through the anesthesia needed for the surgery. How do you say no to a friend? So, of course, I accepted the challenge to restore her to good health. Then he could do his part to give her good vision. I deemed this little 3-year-old girl would be able to walk, talk, eat, and be active as most 3-year-olds are. And even though she was blind, she should be able to do these things and even maybe be potty trained. My mistake. It was awakening when Claudine came to Urukundo. A child was carried on the back of her grandmother. She weighed less than 10 pounds and had been blind since birth. Imagine a 3-year-old more delicate than a newborn baby. Our mamas cared for Claudine with special food and loving care, and in 3 months she was able to survive the surgery. But there was a hitch. What else could go wrong for this dear little child? After a thorough exam, it was discovered she had a hole in her heart. Heart surgery would be required. The eye surgery took place. The eye surgery was successful, and after a time spent in recovery, a donor contributed the funding for her to have the hole in her heart closed. Today, she's a healthy, happy 13-year-old. She does not have perfect vision, but she can read and write and move around on her own. She is in grade 5 at our school and doing okay. Her ambition is to be a doctor. I have doubts, but God is in charge. Claudine has every capability of doing what she wants to do. Urukundo Foundation, my hope, my love, my everything, employs 91 local citizens. We employ one person for families so that we are helping 91 families survive. And they are earning an income. And this helps the economy in Muhanga, and it also helps our district entirely. We provide medical insurance for our employees. We pay income taxes, Social Security, and maternity. Can you imagine something called maternity comes off of the paychecks? That might be a good idea in the US when you guys get around to doing some changing. But this maternity is for the fathers and for the mothers. So if the father works here, he has maternity and can be off with his baby and mom. And if the mom works here, she has 3 months maternity leave. So this is great. Their children, our employees' children, attend our school at half tuition. And Urukundo Foundation and this ministry are making a difference. Thanks be to God and faithful donors. I close with this mission statement. This is our belief. We believe that a child development is dependent upon love, care, and spiritual discipleship. In Matthew chapter 19, verse 14, Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these." Motivated by this belief, we help the children in our care by educating and equipping them with Christian values and love. Those who are able to enroll in formal education are financially and morally supported until they earn a bachelor's degree. Those who are relatively too old with intellectual limitations are taught how to read and write as well as given potential technical skills. Please keep our school slogan in mind. Education is the light. You got that? Education is the light. It is important to me that we have questions. And so we're going to go to the slides that our friend has, Judy. And after that, then we'll have a question and answer period. Okay, Urukundo Foundation is in the mountains of Rwanda. These are one mountain after another. As you can see the landscape, the mountains do not end. They just are continuous. Next. What makes us? Well, we're a 501c3 and we are an integral part of the community. We serve low and no income families, education for all, no matter what their ability is to pay. We have a dental clinic that insures the not insured and non-insured, and we provide low dental costs. We are the top employer of Muhanga district. We have the most employees. Employees are local Rwandese citizens. We have not gone out of the country to hire. We hire from our own group. Okay, top employer, yes, we are in the Muhanga district, and we employ local resident Rwandese from the district, and we buy all of our products and all of our business with the local people. Next. Who we are. And some of this I've already told you. We are pre-K to primary school. We have a sewing training center, which is now a school, and this school has two phases. The first phase is for youngsters who have graduated from secondary school but have not been able to go on to university, and they have no way to make a living. So by having our technical sewing center, we have one class for these students who simply need a way to make a living. And then we have a second class that is honored by the government, and they get a certificate and then can be teachers of sewing and can start their own businesses. We have a daycare where we have little ones under 3 years of age, and they are amazing. Our worship center is the center of our day on Sunday, and we had worship this morning. We were closed down because of the virus. We have now had the third open worship. The first week, there were 4 people. The second week, there were 13 people. And this morning, there are about 20. So our folks are coming back, but we are taking the precautions to make sure that they are safe. The farm has pigs and cows and chickens, and it's just an awesome place. And the mama and baby community outreach goes on as a very important part of our group. Next. We began as Urukundo Home for Children. And of course, we started out with only older children, but very quickly the little ones came to visit with us. And the babies are brought to see me quite often from the hospital across the road. And I just adore them. They are terrific. Next. We are a multi-generation group here. Our first group was in 2006. Those kids now have graduated from secondary school and have moved on. The newer kids came in after that period of time, and they are still in preschool and primary, which makes them all under 14 years of age. Next. Personal assistant. I can't get down on the floor anymore to play with children. Olive gets down on the floor and plays with kids. When I need errands run, I don't run fast anymore. So Olive runs my errands for me. She had been here how many years?
5.
You're talking to them.
5 years.
She has been here 5 years. Has it been 5 years? Oh my goodness.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Mama. This is Trish.
Okay. Now, these are our teenagers in 2011. These are the children who are now in universities. Some of them have graduated, have started businesses of their own. This is how they looked in 2011. Next. This is how they look now. You can see our girls are quite beautiful and very American dressing people. The clothes here are wonderful, but they prefer to wear the more modern things, and I think it's great. Our boys are quite the jokesters, and even to get this picture taken, they were hysterical. So this is a great picture. Devine, who is the young lady in the white t-shirt, has graduated. She is the one who wants to be a pilot. And we're hoping within the next year we will have enough finances that we'll be able to help her. We have $10,000 already for her. So we're hoping the money comes so that she can go to aviation school. Since a little girl, she's always wanted to be a pilot. Esperance is in IT, the girl in the red. Then Lucy in the black is going to be in entertainment and tourism, and Deborah is going to be a lawyer. So they are quite astonishing and very ambitious young ladies. Next. This is a picture of Urukundo Learning Center. Now, this was taken 2 years ago. It has become much bigger now because we have built 4 more classrooms. We are looking at an auditorium for the kids because Hope House is too small for the number of children that we have. So we needed to build an auditorium. We're working on that. And someday I hope to either have a secondary or a university sitting on top of my mountain. We are about halfway up the mountain, and the little things on the top are the top of the mountain. And the view from up there is spectacular. Next. Our teachers are absolutely amazing. And one of the great things about going to school here, the teachers allowed to hug the kids, the teachers allowed to show them affection. Nobody is going to take them to court because they put their hand on a child to help them when they got hurt. I'm very happy about that because I think love is the most important item we can give children. And if you can't show them love, how can you teach them to love? Next. This is a gathering at my school. In the mornings, they gather together at 7:15, from 7:15 to 7 o'clock, and they are all there. They are in rows. It looks like they're jummed together, but they are in nice rows, and they actually sing and they say a prayer before they go to classes. It's one of the greatest experiences you'll have if you come to Rwanda, to Urukundo, to visit with the children. This is an awesome site, gathering for school. Next. After all the other kids leave the area, and this is the area they were standing in that picture, the preschool teachers are very, very smart. They get the kids exercising and laughing and playing games, get them all worn out before time to go into the classroom. So it works very well for them. They actually have a great time with their teachers, and the teacher does what she wants them to do and they copy from her. So it is really great. Next. More of our teachers. We have all of the subjects, math and science and art, and we're looking for an art teacher. If you happen to know one who wants to move to Rwanda, we would surely love to have her come. Okay, so next. Our headmaster is the young man in the yellow colored pants. He is an artist, but he can't teach art and be headmaster at the same time. And he came to us as a teacher, but his potential was so great that we felt that it was important for him to go on. We sent him to university to get his master's degree in education and brought him back, and he is headmaster here. So we have already helped 7 of our staff to become better educated, to get the degrees they need to be able to do a better job. So we're very proud of that. Next. As you can see, the teachers have as much fun as the kids. Next. Awesome tree. This tree sits outside of the preschool, and the kids love to climb up in it, and the teachers help them to get up there and make sure they don't fall out. We also have a lot of art and science things and reading. Next. Okay, now let me tell you about this little girl and the doll. She's not the first one, but way back when I first started this ministry, one of our little girls, and this is how the mamas carry their babies on their backs in Rwanda, but our little girl was walking around with a toothbrush instead of a doll baby stuck in her backpack, and she was carrying that toothbrush around and saying it was her baby. So I decided at that time it was time we got doll babies for the children. And so whenever I sent out a message and someone said, what can I bring? I would say, bring doll babies. Our little girls need doll babies. The boys like the trains, they like cars, they're boys. They like all the things boys like. See the pretty baby there. Next. This is a peace project that we did with a school, I guess about an 8th grade school level in America. They drew pictures and made a book and sent it to us. Then in turn, our kids did artwork and made up a book, and we sent it to them. So we shared with another school what we were doing, and they shared with us what they were doing. Next. This is art in Rwanda. Absolutely creative, out of picture books, out of getting leaves. The kids' imagination are absolutely wonderful, and having a real art teacher to really work with them would be absolutely amazing. Next. Science is a big deal at our place. So we have books. Science is taught, but we also use the library, and we have a wonderful library where we have the science projects that can be done. And so all of this I don't totally understand, but the science teacher does. Next. We collaborate and we make posters that we can distribute throughout the area if something is going on. And we also make posters that we can put in the library. We are encouraging the kids to use their imagination to decide on a project, use the imagination, bring it so that it is completed. And we just are very impressed with what they're doing with very little teaching on the project. So like I said before, a teacher would be great. Next. Now, this is an education trip from our farm is part of our teaching program. So these children get to see the cows, the pigs, the chickens. They have field trip during the day to come to the farm, and they are shown how to milk a cow. They've tried to tell me how to milk a cow, and I said, you know what? I really don't want that in my repertoire. I don't need it. So, but our farm is quite an amazing place. Next. Our school library is also quite awesome. And we have books in French, in Kinyarwanda, and in English, and all levels from beyond high school down to the preschool hard books that the kids are able to even take home with them and bring back, or work with them in the library itself. Next. This is one of the teachers working with an art project with the children. Next. Oh, good. A sensory play area. We have Legos, we have vehicles, we have trains, we have all kind of things that we put together, and the kids have a whole area where they can pull one of these projects off and sit down and for an hour or whatever, put it together and see what they can build. They are very imaginative and actually do things that amaze me. Next. Now let me tell you about this, the one that the teacher is bending over. You put that together, okay? It comes all apart. You put it together, you drop a marble in the top, and it's supposed to go all the way down to the bottom. I have tried it over and over and over, and I can't get it to work. The kids can, but I cannot. Next. We have a computer lab. A Forest Hills Rotary in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, helped us get the computers so that we would be able to teach computers to our P4, 5, and 6 children. Now, we don't use computers in the classrooms yet, but we have a class where the children learn the basics of the computers. And we're hoping someday that group that says they give 50, every student has a computer. We haven't been able to get in touch with them. I think they went out of business, but it would be wonderful. But yeah, our older children have the basics for computer use. Next. Music program, this is my ideal, because for me, I believe music is an international language and every school should have a music program. So the violins were donated to us from a group, or from a violin owner, store owner in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. We are so grateful. So we have violins, we have all kinds of different instruments. We just recently were able, through a donor, to purchase a drum set, and the kids are real excited about it because usually all we have is the African drums, which are wonderful, but they don't have cymbals and they don't have things you can bang and whatever. So that new setup is absolutely, I think it was in the last newsletter. If you got that, you would see it. Next. Football. Now, you might not think that's football, but if you spell it F-O-O-T-E, it is football. You know it as soccer, but our kids are very good, and soccer is the sport in Rwanda. So the kids really get into it and are very dedicated, and even the little ones play soccer. Not me. I'm not up to running and kicking balls. Next. This is our playground, and everything built here is built from tube metal. You can't get the parts and stick them together. You have to take pieces of metal and actually build them. We have 2 sets of swings. One's for older children, one is for younger children. We have the basketball court, which is in the background, as you can see it, where the kids can play volleyball or basketball. We haven't gotten into tennis yet, but someday maybe we will get tennis. But the first kids got very excited when the sliding board was operational. I hadn't thought about there being a problem. So the bigger kids went up and went down and came crying with splinters in their hands. And they were metal splinters because they were holding on to the rails and they had not been smoothed. As soon as we saw what it was, then our carpenter went in, our maintenance man went in, then they sanded all the metal so there were no slivers. So we don't have any slivers in the hands anymore. But it was something, this is a learning project, you know, for me. I didn't know this in advance. Once I found it out, we did something about it. That's how a lot of things work here. You don't know about them till they happen, and then you look at it and say, why didn't we see that happening? We should have done something about it sooner. Well, we're doing the best we can. And actually now the kids love the sliding board and they want another one, but one for smaller kids. This one is very high and it is scary if you're, I wouldn't climb up there and slide down it. The bigger kids do, but the little kids are scared. They need a smaller one. So we're going to look into building a smaller sliding board. Next. School buses are phenomenal here in Rwanda, and Urukundo has been blessed over the last 5 years. We got a small one, then we got a bigger one, and then 3 years later we got a bigger one, and now we have 3 big buses. The big bus is not in this picture, but we now have 3, And it is so much safer for the children to come to school in the buses than it is walking the streets or riding bicycles or motos, because the parents rent somebody who drives a bicycle, sets their kid on the back of the bicycle, and then the driver, it's dangerous. We've had children with broken bones. We've had children burned from the motos. And so we decided it was better if we came up with a program with a school bus where the children could come. And now they can come from further away also. So this is something that I'm really pleased with. And this is a project that was started by Tom Nunley, a gentleman in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with the Forest Hills Rotary. He was very devoted to Urukundo. Tom has since passed on, and I hope he's waiting for me. But anyway, he wanted this to happen, and bless his heart. You know, our first school was built by Tom, the first classrooms. And you know how it happened? He gave his wife $25,000 for her birthday and sent the money to us. Now think about that. But Carolyn Nunley was very, very pleased to be a part of starting our first school. But and Tom had been, and she still is, an advocate for us. Next. Our sewing center, and you can see the sewing machines. They're like the old Singer sewing machines, and they are treadle. They are not electric. You don't use your knee and push the buttons. You actually have to treadle the machine. They make beautiful clothing. The sewing is excellent, but the class is taught by two very professional teachers. Next. These are some of this young lady wants to be a designer. The lady in the black, she wants to be a designer. And the other young lady is already a designer. Their sewing is unbelievable. It just really is. And they are all very good. Next, we have a male tailor. And you can see his arm in that picture, or maybe you can see him better than I can, but he's there. And he's teaching tailoring. And we have both female and male students that come to the sewing center that want to learn how to sew. So they are getting instruction from him. Next. This is my favorite, daycare. Look at that little butt sticking out there. I'll tell you, she is the cutest little thing. And our chairs are made perfect for the size of the children who are in our daycare. We have toys that have brought, almost everything that we have are brought in suitcases when people come from America, because they bring one suitcase for their clothes and then they load another suitcase with things for the kids. And we just really appreciate that so much. Next. This is one of those things that it sounds like rain when you turn it, and the kids really love it. Next. That's Benita, yeah. Mm-hmm. So we do have toys, but you know what? They last so long and then you have to replace them. But we do okay. Benita is one of our babies that she came as a baby. You can see she has a baby on her back. I'm pointing and you can't see me pointing. So, but she's got her baby on the back, the same as what a mama would. Next. Our dental is absolutely amazing. We have one of the most modern dental setups. We have had visitors come from the US and say, my dentist's office at home is not this good. So we are very pleased. We have 2 full-time dentists and a receptionist and a bookkeeper at our dentistry, so that we are very well equipped, and we work with no and low income people. We work with insured people and uninsured people. So everybody is welcome to come to our dental facility. Next. And the toothbrushes, tell you about that. Toothpaste and toothbrushes, the kids love to get them. Next. That's worship. These kids are absolutely amazing, and we only use the drums in our worship service. Keyboards, I have been to worship centers where they have the keyboards. The keyboard plays one thing and the congregation sings something different. It is the most awful. Talk about joyful noise to the Lord. That isn't even joyful, believe me. But the kids are, this is just a few of the children that worship with us, and prayerfully we'll soon get back to a full worship center, but that has a lot to do with the virus. Next. This young lady is a community person, and she has a choir, and she brings her choir to our worship center. She is the leader for that choir, and they're all young children, but oh my, they do sing beautifully. They just do. And this little girl in an art project showed her taking her family to church. Do you see this cross on the top of the little building and the chairs? This is her idea of Urukundo Worship Center. Next. We give all of our P6 kids Bibles when they graduate from primary school. And the red ones are English. Yeah, the red ones are English, and some of them are Kinyarwanda. So we do in both languages, depending on the child and whether that child can read or whether they only know a Kinyarwanda. So we try to pick the Bible with the child. Next. Okay, now let me tell you, the gray-haired lady with the gray, that's me. The other thing is the cow. We also have the 3 little pigs, if you please. So this is all part of the farm. Next. Chickens, we have about 4,000 chickens at all different ages of growth. We purchase day-old chicks and we raise them until they're 4-month-old. At 4 months, these are broilers. They're not layers, they're broilers. And at 3.5 to 4 months, we then sell them to restaurants and hotels so that our farm is eventually going to be self-sustaining, but we have a lot of work yet to do. We do have 100 layers, and we also sell eggs from the farm. So the farm is a going enterprise. It doesn't fit all of its own expenses yet, but someday it will. Next. This is a mama doing her gardening work, and this is how mamas come to work here with the baby on the back. Now you see why little girls want to copy the mamas and have toothbrushes on their backs instead of babies, but now they have babies. Our fruits are wonderful. The little bananas are like candy bar. They are absolutely wonderful. The pink is a sweet potato that is, and it's a sweet potato, not like we do for sweet potatoes, okay? But this is actually a sweet white potato, and it's very good. And you can see we have parsley, we have lettuce, we have all the vegetables. We have a lot of eggplant. The vegetables are absolutely amazing here. We don't do a whole lot of watermelon or cantaloupe because the rainy season is too short, and the watermelons only get to be the size of a cantaloupe. We don't have the kind you go pick from a farm. Next. Mama and baby, okay? All of this is for mamas who have babies at the health center across the road in their birthing place. They quite often have no clothes to take the baby home in. They have no way to take prenatal care or doing all the things they need to do. Up until now, all of the things were brought in suitcases. So we had layettes for all of these mamas. Every time the baby is born over there, they send word to us. Now we are out of clothing to send. However, we can buy all of diapers, Pampers, and onesies and things in Kigali. So if you'd like to be a part of this mom and baby community outreach, send the money and donate it. Mark on your check when you send it that it is for the Mama and Baby Project. And then we can buy the things that are needed for these new moms who need to have clothing for their babies. Next, this next picture then is two of our babies. We had a group make the dolls, the little round dolls that she's holding. They're knitted, I believe, and then they're stuffed so that they make a doll baby, and then we send one of them with each baby that goes home from the hospital. Next. Okay, in Faxon, Kenmore, which is in the Williamsport area, they send us a lot of great things, but this is what the layette looks like. When we have it all put together, then we put it in a package and give it to the mama. But we try to give a toy for the baby. We try also to give onesies and sweaters and hats. These are things that the babies need and don't have. And this one, the little one looks very contented with his beautiful hat. Next. What's next? What are our top priorities? Well, let me tell you, I have sent some of this information on to the, I think her name was Joyce, with the Presbyterian group that are looking at us. But what next is to have a kitchen that is better equipped to help us with cooking. And please be sure to get next month's newsletter when it comes out the 1st of September, because the pictures from the kitchen are in there. But our priority right now is to get that kitchen demolished and get a new kitchen built so that we have better, healthier circumstances for our employees and also for ourselves. So this is important. Next. She warned me there was a slight pause between my next and her turn. This young lady is going to be a lawyer. She's a university student. For $6,000 a year, we can send a student to university. That's tuition, food, lodging, transport, everything. Try sending your kid to university in America for $6,000 for the whole year. It won't work. Next. This is my dream of the future. This is what someday I hope Urukundo will have. It will either be part of a college campus or a secondary school campus or an addition to the primary. But this is the building we hope someday to be able to afford to build. And I don't know who that old woman is with her arm up in the air. We'll just ignore her. This concludes the show that we presented, and I'm very grateful for your taking part in it.